Hello guys, welcome to an episode of HTHT where the talk is deep but the set is cheap. I'm your host John and today we are joined by another John. This is John Chua.
Hello.
Alright, okay, so let me just give you some background, okay? He's definitely a face that you're familiar with, okay? In case you all don't know, let me remind you, okay? He's from the Singapore music scene, one of the members of the Sam Willows and the founder of Zendyll Records.
Yes.
Zendyll Records, okay, I got that on the first try. He recently released a new single, The Intro, right? Available on Apple Music, Spotify, and YouTube. And other music streaming sites. I'm guessing that's what Bandcamp. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess. Thanks for the plug. I didn't know that was going to happen. Sure.
Well, of course, we must always let people know who you are and what you do, man. Okay, this one is important because actually part of the background is that, you're known for being the quiet one in the Sam Willows, right? Right, and today we're here to find out what's really on your mind.
Okay.
So, John, do you like to HTHT?
Actually, I have a lot of HTHT conversations with a lot of my friends. Not so much my Singaporean friends, but a lot of my Malaysian friends, my friends from other countries. Because I generally feel like Singaporeans don't really know how to HTHT.
Perfect. And, to facilitate all HTHT sessions in Singapore, we have the Nectar of the Gods.
Yes. Oh, I love that sound.
Amazing. Okay, so today we're going for Somek. Okay, I ask you now, watermelon or grape? First.
Let's go for grape.
Go for
Keep
grape
it classy,
first, Solid lah. Okay. Having some classic Somek.
How old are you?
I am
26.
No.
25.
No.
24.
No.
28.
No.
29.
Yes.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm a year older. I'm 30.
Solid. So we're all around there lah.
Yeah.
What we call aging millennials.
Yeah, when I was in Korea, like the youngest person has to pour for everybody on the table. Yeah. So when you go out drinking, the youngest person has to pour. So if you were older than me, then I would have poured for you.
Shit. So I guess it all worked out.
Yes. So next time you have a guest that is younger than you, then you ask the guest to go and pour.
Well, I mean, I recently did an ancestry thing, but I'm like, just two types of Chinese, so I don't know how the Chinese do it. No, really, it's just two types, Northern and Southern Chinese. You should try this ancestry thing.
Really? Yeah. Actually, I'm very curious to go.
Damn lame, I wasted my company's money for doing the DNA test. Like, what am I, Chinese? Two kinds of Chinese. Okay, before any further ado,
cheers.
Cheers. Wow, solid lah. Okay, looks like you will have to top up whenever you need to top up. And now that has loosened you up a little bit, let's go into our first section, which we call the intro, because our stalker / producer, Alastair Pang, whose name is also the channel Alastair Pang, as you all will already know, okay, has done a lot of stalking and has very nicely, right, named the sections that we're going to go through today, right, according to like progressions in a song. So like intro, verse, chorus, bridge, and then second chorus. This one, he own self do it, he own self steam a bit, because he's a nerd. Okay, but anyway, first question for John. Okay, John never went through the music system and did not have formal training or lessons. Has that impacted the way you think about music? And do you think it's a disadvantage or an advantage that you didn't go to school for it?
Wow.
Jumping straight in, right?
Yeah, wow, that's actually a very heavy question. Yeah, so I mean, he's right. I never went through any formal music training. Not because I never wanted to, but I think because I came from a very how do you say, like my family wasn't very well to do.
Right.
So music classes was not something that they consider. The only classes they sent me for were swimming classes. Because my mom has this theory that, look, you don't learn music also still can live. You drop into the river, you cannot swim, you die. So very practical mother. I love my mom. She's very, very practical. So but I love music from a very young age. Listened to a lot of the Beatles, Guns N' Roses, Metallica. So I think like
so a lot of rock bands.
A lot of rock bands. I started listening to rock first. And then I remember when I was like 12, I picked up the guitar because my brother learned the guitar. My dad could play the guitar. My dad's can play but not very good But at that point of time when you are like 11, 12 years old, if your father can play the guitar, you think he's the best.
Like your eyes all sparkle.
Yeah, eyes all sparkle. He played the wrong chord, sing out of tune.
That kind of sounds right.
Yeah. And then I remember at a young age, I think in secondary school, like I would go to Kino, and then I would go to there's one particular place at Kino where they have all these tab books, the guitar tab books. And then I would read it there, like a library. I treat it like a library.
Yeah.
And then the songs that I really like, I'll tear out the page. I will put it in my pocket and then I'll leave. You know, so
I mean, Singapore Police Force, if you're watching this, I mean, it's too late.
it's too late lah.
Yeah.
I mean, I bought enough books there now to kind of pay back. But yeah, I mean, that's what I used to do. And then before the internet, you know, there's like now you can learn guitar on YouTube and all that shit. But you know, back then you just pick it up yourself. So I felt like because I had to pick it up myself and everyone was telling me not to do it.
Right.
So the more people tell me not to do it, the more I wanted to do it. Yeah. And then I think how it impacts my career is that I think differently. You know, I think the way that I view music is different from other people.
Yes.
You know, it's less formulated in that sense, you know, and like you really develop a year to figure out what's nice and what's not nice lah. Yeah. Sorry, what was the second question?
And I was about to follow up that. So has that played to your advantage or was it a disadvantage?
I think it's a mix of both. So, you know, certain things where you have to be part of the system, it becomes harder.
Right.
So especially when you work in a group, you know, where you got to communicate with musicians, you know, you have to have an understanding of everything. So obviously, I picked up music theory along the way. You know, I use a number system. You know, I can count beats. You know, I can produce music. You know, but like if you ask me to, so I can't read scores.
Right.
So Tauge I cannot read. But when I used to have to play like stuff that everyone else is reading Tauge, my job was to memorize.
You go and label with it.
Yeah, no, so I memorized via a number system.
Right.
Yeah, so instead of I can't sight read, but I have to put in the extra hours to memorize the whole score, which kind of sucks. But it helps with Sam Willows, I guess, back then, like, you know, where we had to play like 1.5 hour sets. Like, you never ever see Sam Willows do a show with a music score in front of us. We have never done a show with a music score. We will practice until we memorize it.
So all shows were off memory, and this is
Everything
something
is memory.
that played to your advantage because that's how you started.
Which is why we had to write original music. Because you think about it, if you're a cover band, right, you have 150 to 1,000 songs in your memory. Sam Willows, at least we got maybe 20 plus 30 songs. That's all we need to remember. You know, so I guess, you know, didn't have a choice but to do original music in that sense.
Life hack: if you cannot read Tauge, you want to be a musician, right? You create your own music.
You have to, no choice.
Don't cover. You cannot remember. Okay, fantastic. No, because this is actually, you know, you brought up an important point because the next question actually, Lester stalked and found out that actually you used to tear out the guitar tab books in Kinokuniya, right? To learn and teach yourself to play the guitar. Right? Although the drive was perhaps not channeled in the best way in this case, do you still see the same amount of drive in up and coming artists in Singapore now?
Honestly?
Yeah.
I think I guess maybe it's a different generation. But I think every generation will always say that about the next generation, that the next generation, the work ethic is not there, you know, the tenacity is not there. So I feel like I've become one of those guys that feel that way, you know, but of course, for every 10 people that I meet, maybe 1 or 2 has that drive and has that tenacity. So, man, like if you talk about drive, half is half lah. Half is half.
Half is half lah.
Can be more is can be more.
Can be more is can be more lah. Print it on a t-shirt, man. Okay. No, I think this is a personal question that made me think about it because now, you know, especially with the younger generation, since we're from the same generation, right? They grew up with the internet, you mentioned. So they didn't have to go through the difficulty per se of having to go and secretly pull tabs from Kinokuniya, right? What do you think then is their struggle? What do you think that is their struggle, you know? Because they don't have to like, shit, I can't find these things. I have some fire in my heart and that's all I have to go on, you know?
I think because of that, like, there's this tendency to think that because everything is so efficient right now, you know, like you never had to have to take a bus. I mean, at that point of time, I was living in Jurong East. I take a bus from Jurong East all the way to Orchard. You know, go alone because I don't want my friends to know that I'm tearing books. And I go with my friends also no use because I want to sit there and study on my own. You know, and I think now it's just a bit harder. You know, I feel like it was not as easy to communicate with friends. You know, back then, of course, you have MSN Messenger and ICQ and all that shit. But, you know, now with like social media or like, you know, like WhatsApp, it's so easy to communicate with your friends. And people are having handphones as young as like 7, 8 years old. You know, so it's, to me, it's a case where I don't think they'll ever experience that. But their experiences will be different, you know, and I think there's nothing wrong with that because the industry will always change to the next generation. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think that they will experience that, and maybe to a certain extent they don't have to.
Great. Okay, John said that he has never won any talent shows, and was told by his brother that he wouldn't be good at the guitar. Right? Do you embrace feeling like the underdog?
Okay lah. So in my 20s, I have won some competitions lah. So just to get that out there in case someone researched and then they realize that statement was not entirely true. But growing up, I think I never won anything.
Yeah.
I always felt like an underdog because I was like the kid with no money that studied in the school with everyone having a lot of money.
You're right.
I don't want to name this. Okay, fuck. You can find it online. So, like, I studied ACJC. I studied in Fairfield Methodist.
Right.
And like, there are kids in the school that comes from pretty wealthy
backgrounds, right? Yeah.
And I think someone like I go to my friend's house and like they have the latest FIFA. Their bedroom is as big as my house. That kind of vibe. And it kind of drives you as an individual. To tell yourself that, next time I want to have this. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to figure it out one day.
And that played a little to the underdog thing.
Yeah, and I think I always have this underdog mentality, and I don't see it as a bad trait per se. I see it as a driving factor.
Right.
No matter what, Chinese 一山会比一山高. You will just no matter how big you become, there's always someone bigger than you. So there's always room for improvement. There's always room to strive for something that's better. And I do still feel like an underdog. Even till today, I still feel like an underdog.
Yeah. And that's not a problem for you. It's more
I live with it.
Does it motivate you?
I think it motivates me. Because I'm the kind of guy that I can recognize an underdog when I see one.
Right.
And throughout my entire career, throughout my entire life, there's always been people that were helping me.
Yes.
Whether they come from the same background as me or not, I've been very blessed to have people who put in time and put in effort to help me. And I feel like what they expect is not for me to return them the favor,
right,
but rather to hand that down to other people. So I make it an effort that, to get to know people on a personal level.
Yes.
And I always try to make time to help people.
Very good.
So like with Zendyll and the studio, as much as possible, I dedicate time and I dedicate resources, and I try to even inspire my team to do the same. That taking out an hour of your time to help someone that would change his life, for the better, like it's something that you can afford. And then like don't be a selfish little bastard, just do it in that sense.
Pay it forward.
Yeah, pay forward. Yeah, exactly.
So what would you then say to the underdogs of the world who just think that they're second best?
Don't be afraid to ask for help. I think one thing that I learned growing up was to not be afraid to ask for help. If you don't know something, it's better to say that you don't know than to pretend that you know. I think a lot of times, the thing that hinders people from gaining a certain success or to achieve something is most of the time their own ego.
Yes.
They're too afraid to ask.
Right.
If let's say you have two musicians, one is better than the other. If you think that you're the lousier musician, you will always think that you're the lousier musician. But if you ask the better musician how to do things or how he thinks, and then you analyze that and then you make it your own, more often than not, you would be able to create something. Yeah. So I guess it's really ego lah. I think for me, I grew up with a lot of ego, a lot of pride. But I think when I was like 19, 20, I started to learn to ask for help.
Yes.
To stop thinking that I'm the best. Stop thinking that I don't need any help. I want to do this on my own.
Yeah.
I think nobody achieves anything on their own.
That's very true.
It's always a collective effort.
Yeah, man. Oh, invaluable advice.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, next. John said that he wasn't proud of his upbringing, was poor, and had a hard time fitting in.
Yeah.
Okay. How was it like dealing with it? And is there any advice you can give to others who might be feeling the same?
Right.
I mean, maybe it goes out to our younger audience,
I won't go as far to say that I was poor. I think my parents, they gave me everything that I needed to be able to live my life. Obviously I didn't live with luxuries. I never even knew that luxury products existed until I was like 20 years old.
Yes.
Not like the kids these days, 13 years old wearing Gucci. That's a problem for me. I really feel like that's a problem for me because the kid didn't earn that. But okay, that's a story for another time.
Yes.
I think that everything that my parents gave me growing up, equipped me with the mentality and the tools to be able to achieve things on my own. Like at the end of the day, I worked hard to get my first house, to buy my first car. I paid for the wedding myself. I basically relied only on myself in order to get certain luxuries in life.
Yes.
And I'm not gonna lie, I love luxury. I love a good spa, I love a good hotel, I love a good
who doesn't?
flight. Yeah, who doesn't?
Yeah.
But I think there's a difference when you achieve it on your own. And I feel like there's only a handful of people that I know that has done that successfully. But not to say that if you come from a good family, a well-to-do family, means you need to feel like that rich guilt.
Yes.
I feel like rich guilt is a real thing.
It is. It definitely is.
At the end of the day, there's also a way to manage it. Like I know I have friends who come from very well-to-do families, but they don't expect it. Like they live in 6th Avenue in this freaking ginormous house, but then their first house is an HDB flat. And I feel like that is something that I respect, because at the end of the day, you are creating your own narrative.
Yes.
So yeah, I would say that going back to your question, sorry, what was the question again?
What advice would you give then to people who are feeling sort of, I'm just not as good as people,
I would say surround yourself with people who have the same mentality to want to move up that social ladder. And when I say social ladder, I don't necessarily mean like financially.
Yes.
It's just you want to make a difference in your life. All of us live once. I think it sucks when you do a piece of work that's so repetitive that you just get used to it and you do it for the stability.
Right.
I think there are two kinds of people. There's the kind of people who want to change the world, and the kind of people that would just go for the ride.
Yes.
So you got to figure out what kind of person you are. Some people are very comfortable just going with the ride, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yes.
But if you want to change society, if you want to change the world, if you want to influence the people around you, not as an influencer, like an Instagram influencer, and wear your Lululemon and all that shit, but really inspire the people around you because of your work ethic and the kind of things that you create, then it's really surrounding yourself with that group of people with the same mentality. There's always this saying that you are an average of your 5 closest friends.
Yo, I agree with that, man.
And it's true. If all your friends all every day just want to sit at home, watch TV, and like I have friends who I will sit down and watch TV with, but we'll watch a film and we'll break down the whole film.
Yeah.
We'll watch a Christopher Nolan film and go like, okay, yeah, what he did there was crazy. And that's different from watching TV and, it's a huge difference. So, I mean, just have good friends. You know? Like you don't be afraid to cut people off. Even if they're family, even if they're childhood friends.
Yes.
Surround yourself with people
that
make you feel better about yourself. I think the worst kind of friends is those that they see you working hard, right? They try to tear you down. Yeah, that's the one that you just say bye to them and just move on.
It's time to naga chuseyo out of your life.
Exactly. Okay, can I pour more drinks?
Yeah, for sure, man. This is a new soju that we have here. One shot. If we know you're watching this, so get on this, man. Tell me when. Okay, I'm just gonna go.
Okay, done.
All right. Very good. Okay, I think that was some sage advice that you gave. Okay, let's move on to our second section.
All right.
Okay, the verse. Just to please Alistair a little bit. Okay, so we're on to the verse, right? John said that he always felt the need to chase and was never satisfied, but eventually had to learn that there was nothing wrong with losing.
Oh, wow. You actually found that. I remember saying that once. I don't remember where I said it.
You clearly underestimate the powers of our stalker, man. Okay, here's the question though. Was this competitive mindset inspired by sports, right? And how do you manage to break out of it?
I think for me, honestly, I have a very strong competitive spirit. I really, really do. And because I played team sports since I was young, I played basketball. I love basketball a lot, even till today. Wanted to be an NBA player when I was a kid, but then I realized at 13 years old, nah, that's not gonna happen. I think the idea of growing up with a team sport, I feel is very good for everybody. Like just actually at least playing a team sport competitively once in your life. because the values that you learn is really interesting. It's not about your personal stats. It's not whether I get the most points, I do the most flashy plays.
Yes.
It's about winning as a team.
Yeah.
And sometimes if you are a very, very, very good player, right, you still need to rely on your team.
Yes.
You can have one star player and then like a bunch of lousy players like LeBron James last season. Not the recent season, the season before that.
Okay.
But you still can't win. You still can't win anything. Whereas like having that mentality that it's a team effort is really important, because the truth is you can't win alone in a lot of things. It takes a good team to do it, especially with music. I think with music, like everyone sees the artist's success and the artist is kind of like the image of it.
Yeah.
But what they forget is that behind every Taylor Swift and every Weeknd and every Drake, there are dozens and dozens and dozens of people behind working on his project. And they will not get the recognition. But these are the people that have that belief. And the truth is, I think especially in Singapore, is that everybody just wants to be the
front man, right?
The front man. Yeah. Everybody wants to be the Weeknd. Everyone wants to be Taylor Swift. But the truth is, some people have what it takes, and some people don't. And if you have a very special gift that can help someone get there, then focus on that. Singapore, we lack managers, we lack agents, we lack business development, we lack concert promotion. We lack so many different areas that can be focused into helping one person gain its success. I mean, would you rather be the guy who tried so hard to be the artist but never ever got there, or the guy who has made 5, 10, 15 great artists?
Yes.
I look at guys like Clive Davis, I look at people like Pharrell Williams. Pharrell Williams is not the greatest artist in the world. Pharrell Williams is not the greatest producer in the world to a certain extent. But he has had a very sustainable career that a lot of people who started off at the same time as him and had maybe a higher chart on the Billboard or won more Grammys than him, these guys are retired while Pharrell Williams till today is still going strong. I think working in music is, to me, about it's whether you want to do it long term or short term. Some people can do it short term and cash out, but some people really stay long term. And I mean, for me personally, it was about staying long term. Because I don't think I can work in any other industry. I don't think I can.
Artist, true and true. So, but like I'm really curious, because after all, I'm pretty competitive myself, especially when it comes to some of the more nonsense things, and that's when it really shows, right? Yeah. So like what was your sort of epiphany moment, that made you decide that, hey, actually one person cannot achieve much on his own? You get what I mean? There must have been something that kind of make this click for you.
It's a very good question.
Yeah.
I guess from a very young age, I kind of knew already, even playing like basketball in secondary school, I could score more points than the highest scorer than the other team, but my team still lose. At the end of the day, we are the losers. Yeah. So does it really matter that much? It doesn't really matter that much, Yeah. Like your value comes in the team wins. And I feel like a lot of people kind of forget that sometimes. They're still interested in just having the most amount of points.
Yeah. Shit. So don't be that guy. Don't be that guy, man. Exactly. Don't be that guy. If you want to be that guy, cheers. Play bowling or something. I don't know. Cheers.
Bowling also is a team sport.
What's a solo sport? Play chess.
Yeah, or tennis.
Tennis? No doubles, just singles.
Yeah, just singles.
Okay, next question for you. Okay, the Sam Willows was once advised by one industry professional to have just one lead singer and have John Chua leave the band. Did you ever feel insecure about your worth and your placing within the band?
This HTHT, I should just tell the truth. To be honest, like with Ben, Norel, and Sandra, I love them to bits. They have never once made me feel like I was not good enough.
Yeah.
And they've always pushed me to get better.
Yes.
But at the same time, the four of us work because I know that I can do things that they can't do. That it's not natural to them.
Yes.
I'm very good at organizing things. So essentially my role in the band was kind of also to a certain extent like the band manager.
Right.
To get people together, to get people serious, figure out what the short-term goals are, the long-term goals are, we work towards things, we set targets, I mean, I submitted the band for festival applications even without asking them.
That's
Because I
actually
know
pretty good.
if I
That's
ask them,
important.
they will say, no lah, we're not good enough.
Yeah,
lah.
yeah,
Duh,
yeah.
duh, duh. What about this? What about that? I say, fuck it, we apply first. We get
Yeah.
in, then we figure it out. You know, and we were lucky to get in. And, you know, then the next question was like, hey, how to raise money to go there? We got no cash to go there.
Yeah.
Then we do a fundraiser show. You know, I think for me, it was always figuring out the solution, you know, in order to push the next level.
Yeah.
In terms of my own, I guess, perception of my self-worth,
Yeah.
you know, it's always a constant struggle because I feel like musically, you know, there are people that are way better than me.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, there are people that sing much better than me, play the guitar much better than me, you know, perform much better than I do. But I guess there's also a reason why I'm still here is because I think I'm not afraid to work hard for it. I'm not afraid to get to where I need to do because
Right.
I mean, when you lack in natural talent, you got to make up with hard work. That's
Yeah,
the
for
truth.
sure.
You know,
For sure.
if you're naturally good at Mandarin, then you don't really have to think twice. But if your Mandarin sucks, then you got to really watch Chinese show, 天天讲华语, you know, really no choice. Yeah, so
It's true.
It's the same theory.
Yeah,
I guess,
yeah.
you know, like if people think that you're not good enough, then you have two choices. Either you work harder to prove them wrong or you give up. One of the two. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I actually do have more follow-up questions for you, but now let's just take a quick camera break because our cameras need to refresh. And cheers
Yeah.
to figuring shit out, man.
Figuring shit out.
All right, and we're back. Okay, so you know, I just have a follow-up question for that because I mean, in my eyes, definitely you're all a bunch of rock stars, and in front of me, you're a rock star, right? So you know, do you ever encounter this? You know what's the imposter syndrome?
No.
So it's where you have attained a certain level, but you deem yourself as not good enough.
Right. Oh, that's
Right?
called the imposter syndrome.
It's called the imposter syndrome, right?
Right.
So it's like finally because there's a
thought
Dunning-Kruger
that-
effect, which is where the people who are not so good, they think they're the freaking best.
Right.
But the people who reach closer and closer to the top, they start to realize that maybe I'm not, they rate themselves lower than what they actually are, you know, in the society. Do you encounter that?
I guess so.
Yeah.
You know, but I personally don't think it's a bad thing.
Right.
Because I feel like when you think that you're the best, your mindset just goes to a certain level of contentment.
How lian.
Yeah, but at the same time, you also think that you're the best. And
Right.
the truth is someone's going to catch up to you.
Right.
You know, not that you always have to stay at the top or you always have to strive to be number one. You know, that's a very Singaporean thing.
Yeah.
You know, I think at the end of the day, it's recognizing that you are good at something, you know, but yet at the same time, there are people better than you,
Yes.
but a bunch of people who are good at what they do can make something that's great, you know, and yeah, I mean, whether I feel that I don't necessarily feel like I have the imposter syndrome,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I also feel like I'm, like you said earlier, you know, I'm never content.
Right.
You know, and I always want to do something better. You know, so that keeps me going, you know.
So you don't let that kind of feeling like take you down. Instead,
No.
you use that to try to
feel
self-evaluate,
yourself.
right?
Yeah, because look, man, like Sam Willows was a great run. You know,
Right,
like
right.
I was one of the, I would say, the most memorable things in my life, and
Yes.
I got to experience things that a lot of people would probably never experience in their 20s.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't take that experience for granted. But at the
Absolutely.
same time, I mean, I can't be 40 years old and be in Sam Willows. Let's be honest, it's not going to work. We're not that kind of band.
Yeah.
We were a pop band.
Yes.
You know, we did music that we believed in, and the messages we told were how we felt truly at that point in time.
Yeah.
You know, but when you move from your 20s to your 30s, you know, you encounter different problems. You know, there's more bills to pay, you know, there's more responsibility naturally, you know, in that sense.
for
So
sure.
I would say, like, yeah, you know, but yet at the same time, like now that Sam Willows is on the brink and I'm focusing on what I can do,
Yeah.
you know, you realize that I'm not just pigeonholed to being a performer on stage or writing in the studio and stuff
Yes.
like that. You know, there's so many other things I could do.
Mm-mm.
You know, and like lately I've been getting into a lot of other new hobbies. You know,
Like
esports.
pottery. Oh, esports.
Yeah, I love
What's
games.
your game?
So like on my phone I play like Mobile Legends. You know, I just got a PS5.
Right.
So it's really awesome. You
Oh
know,
my
I
god,
play-
you're one of those rare people that actually got it. It's sold out freaking everywhere.
Yeah, it's a great. Seriously, it's one of the best devices I've ever ever experienced. But
Okay.
that's like you know, then I played like NBA 2K. You know, I played like Spider-Man recently.
Miles Morales.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I play FIFA with my friends. You know, it's the kind of thing where I appreciate it. You know, and you know, esports is something that is getting very popular in Singapore.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, I mean, my next step, like, I told myself, like, next year I want to invest in an esports team. You know, I just want to,
That's fantastic.
get a bunch of guys, put them in a room like this, and just make them every day play Mobile Legends. You know, 50 wins in a row. Let's go. Then we go and
but to be
challenge.
fair, that's quite an industry right now, especially when you
is.
talk about Mobile Legends.
You know, and I feel like it takes people who believe in the sport, because I mean, I did a concert in 2018.
Yes.
It was called what was it called? Hyperplay.
Yes.
So it was with MTV and Riot Games, right? So it was a League of Legends tournament, and then they also had a few music acts. So they brought in like CL, they brought in Nick Jonas, Alicia Cara.
Shit, but Riot's a pretty big stage.
Yeah, so it was at the
Imagine Dragons and you know
So the one in Singapore, they had Sam Willows, but it was at the indoor stadium. So it's a big thing. And then that was the point where it clicked to me. It was like, oh my god, like esports, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Like you can't get a Singaporean to sell out indoor stadium unless you're JJ Lin.
Yeah.
But you get the League of Legends team, you know, everyone there is cheering for them. And you go like, oh my god, this is the future. You know, and I think for me it's like I want to not be afraid to try something new.
Right.
You know, I've been reading up a lot about F&B as well.
Yeah.
You know, I've been reading up a lot about asset management. You know, I've been reading a lot about, just investments, acquisitions. You know, because I always feel like there's always room to learn new things.
Right.
You know, and having all this knowledge, even if I don't apply it, you know, it's still good to have.
Yeah.
You know, and it helps me run my business, and it helps me manage people better as well.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what we call a growth mindset, and I think most people lack this, you know. So those of you that are watching that don't resonate with this, then it's about time. Listen to this man, and of course subscribe to our podcast now. It's the best. Okay, let's move on to our next section. Yeah, we call this the chorus.
Okay, so this
but cheers to the chorus.
This is the main part, right?
This is the main part, but there's chorus too, lah. So
this is giving me Christmas vibes.
It is almost Christmas, where that one song keeps looping everywhere. But anyway, okay, John once said, right, I quote, "Do you know how frustrating it is to play Take Heart over and over again?" End quote. As an artist, right, how do you balance between giving people what they want and still growing and learning?
Okay, so I actually I said that, and I'm not gonna lie, like I do feel that a lot. You know, I think Sam Willows fans would be a bit maybe not too happy about that statement, but here's my answer to that.
Right.
If you were to hear Take Heart as the recorded version back in 2014, and then you hear the demo version before that, it's very different. You know, and then when we started playing Take Heart in 2015, you know, all the way to the last time we played it, you know, I think it was like 2019, over 4 years, we have successfully changed the arrangement at least 10 times.
Right.
So constantly changing it and making it better.
Right.
You know, I think that's the thing that I would say with music, you know. Like if you go and watch a Coldplay concert today, if they were to play Yellow, it will not be exactly mirrored the same way that it was in the album version.
Definitely, right?
They will want to change it because it's all about the experience. And I feel like that's why I like concerts so much, because you go and see the artists reinterpret their own songs.
Yeah.
You know, and a live concert, no one can ever substitute that. All these live streams and all that stuff is bullshit. Like, if you actually have been to a good concert before, that feeling of euphoria is something that reels in your head a few days.
Yeah.
You know, like post-concert blues is a real thing.
Yeah.
You know, and regardless of genre, a good show is a good show.
Correct.
You know, I think with artists is you don't just drop your single and then think about, okay, what's the next song I want to release? You know, you release the song and you perform it over and over and over and over again. Because people are very seldom just convinced by the recorded version of the song. Yeah. They want to see you do it live. And I feel like live music is the true testament of a musician's ability.
Right. You know, I think because you mentioned you're a pop act, right? Sam Willows is a pop act. So like the thing about it is that you appeal to a very, very wide audience.
Yep.
You know, and the thing about that is that I think a very underrated thing that musicians do that a typical pop audience that does not typically catch on is improvisation and like a lot of these things that you do on the fly during the show.
Yeah.
So like this is something that I picked up from a lot of my performer friends, because I used to do like audio engineering for for like small concerts and stuff like that. So I kind of understand, how the artist thinks about it. So, what you brought up was a really great point about how Coldplay would never play Yellow the same way every time they go live. And I think that plays into how growing and learning as an artist happens as well, right?
100%, yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, next. John commented on the HTHT Ben King episode, saying that he hates the song Thirsty as well. How do you balance doing what you like versus what is commercially viable in the media industry? Thirsty, man.
Thirsty, cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, so how do you balance that?
Okay, I think we wrote Thirsty in Sweden in 2016. Like year end of 2016. Song came out in 2018. Back in 2016, like by saying the statement, "You make me thirsty," it didn't have as much sexual connotation.
Yeah.
It didn't have as much. It didn't feel as desperate.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel like something that would raise an eyebrow. Now in 2020, it's like if you see a girl and say, "Hey, girl, you make me thirsty," like it sounds unnecessarily intrusive. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But back then, it sounded okay. But not gonna lie. So we wrote this song with a songwriter in Sweden, and these Swedish people, English is not their first language.
Yeah.
Right. So they pick up a lot of, I guess, terms from TV that they watch, American shows and stuff like that. So he thought it was a good idea, and I think at that point of time, we just like in Malaysia they say like we just lie on him, it's like okay lah, just do lah, see how it goes. But the problem was the label loved it so much, like the label really loved the song a lot, and then the four of us, I think we were quite on the same level as like really like this
you don't
song,
love it, but you don't hate it. You're just kind of
like Sam Willows. We had a lot of songs, and I love some songs.
Yes.
But the songs that I love doesn't have a music video. The songs that I don't really particularly enjoy as much, are those that do better. And as a musician, you start questioning yourself.
Yes.
You go like, shit, is it because like my taste is really bad, or just that everybody else's taste is really bad? But I think I come to terms with it. Thirsty as a song, like I think Ben also said it the same way. I think we feel the same way. But if you ask me to sing it right now or perform it right now, I'll still happily do it. But like if you ask me whether I think that they're cooler songs, so I'm just gonna say this. I don't know whether Ben talked about this the last time. So in that same album that I know about, Wet album, Thirsty was the first, second, third single, I think, or fourth single.
Right.
And then we had this one song called Need Your Number.
Yes.
It wasn't a single. It kind of fell through the cracks. It didn't make one of the better songs on the album. But it's a very musician nerd song. So for those of you who know music, like, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, you can also count it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yes.
Right. So we wrote a song called Need Your Number. And the whole context of the song was about, like, your summer love, you meet this girl, but then you love her, then when you had to go back to your normal life after summer, you forgot to get her number. So the whole song is that moment where you're trying to recall her number. So like the song chorus goes like, was it a 1, 2, 2 or a 4, 3, 2? I need your number. So 1, 2, 2 is do, re, re.
Yeah.
And then 4, 3, 2 is basically the melody follows the exact number.
I can see why you say this is a music nerd song.
And then as a band, we freaking loved it. Like, oh my God, like, was it a 6, 3, 2? I made a mistake. Oh, it's such a good song. But nobody got it. And then when you realize, right, at the end of the day, when you write music and you put music out as an artist, it's not for other musicians. It's not even for yourself. It's for the listener who can't even tell a key apart or can't even tell like anything, And if they enjoy it, it goes back to the whole reason why people write music in the first place. It's just for enjoyment.
Right.
It's just to be able to reiterate that feeling of what you're feeling. If you're sad, listen to a sad song. If you want to grind a girl, then listen to a hip-hop song. It's as simple as
accurate
as that. Like I've seen like tiny Chinese girls singing like, oh, get on the floor, we going up, like these badass hip-hop songs, and you go like, wow. It suddenly creates the character of this girl. Like this girl, by right, based on how she looks, you would think that she's very timid.
Right.
But if she loves hip hop, she's gonna be badass. She's gonna come right up to your face, and she's not going to be afraid. And then you realize that that's the power of music, because the music that you listen to relates to how you particularly feel at that point in time.
Right.
You know, if you're very sad, then go and listen to some coda line. You know, but then listening to it too much, you get caught in that level of sadness.
Yeah.
But if you were to change the kind of music that you listen, it'll put you in a different mood altogether.
Right.
So I think that experience, you know, with that album, you know, it really taught me that shit, man, like at the end of the day, I'm not writing music for people like me. I'm writing for music for people who completely don't understand music, but I want to inspire them. So
inspire a certain emotion in them.
Yeah, because I think to me the most meaningful Sam Willows song that was ever written was this song called Save Myself.
Right.
And I mean, it really basically says like I think the last part of the chorus is so good at helping when so good at helping when it's somebody else, but save me because I can't save myself.
Right.
You know, and then you realize that shit, so many people can relate to that.
Yeah.
Because you know, no matter how depressed you are, if it's your loved one asking you for help, you would put everything aside to help that person.
For sure.
When you yourself need help, and then
you don't necessarily know how to cry for help.
It was actually the same songwriter that wrote Thirsty with us. So he wrote only 2 songs on the whole album, and it was these 2 songs. So you had Thirsty on one hand that we thought was a really weird song, and Save Myself, who I think till today is, in my opinion, the best Sam Willows song that we have.
Right.
And yeah, you just come to realize that that's the real reason why you do music, is to spark emotion from people.
Especially as a professional, right?
Especially as a professional, exactly. Yeah.
This makes sense. Okay. I think that was great. That was great. You know, very insightful about the kind of decision making that goes behind your band. No, really, because I think a lot of people don't understand this term where we ended off with as a professional.
Yeah.
Because you do, I mean, it's very different if you're just creating for the sake of creating versus like doing it as a professional.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, next question that we have. John says that he regrets a lot of his 20s, which you have successfully left. And has a different mentality and approach now that he has turned 30, right?
Yeah.
So looking back, what is one thing you wish you could have done differently? This interview question.
I felt like I could have been nicer to my ex-girlfriends. I know it's not something that people talk about.
Yeah.
And I hope my ex-girlfriends are not listening or watching this.
Well, if they are,
you know, but you know, I think my wife right now,
yes.
You know, my wife, you know, she's an amazing person because she is the only partner in my entire life that has successfully made me realize that it's not all just about me. You know, that I have to learn to be a better person, not just for myself, but for everybody around me.
Right.
She taught me how to let go of things, you know, and I think because of that, you know, what I regret a lot in my 20s, like career-wise, honestly, like I would not trade it for anything. You know, if you ask me today, John, would you have rather have been a doctor or a lawyer or a business
swimmer?
Yeah, or a swimmer. Sure. You know, I would say no, like screw that, because like being a musician was my childhood dream and I got to live it. You know, but if you ask me the way that I was with my previous relationships, you know, I felt like I was not a good person.
Right.
And I will openly admit that because I was very stubborn in my thinking.
Yes.
And I didn't want anyone to change me. And like anything that I say, like that's my opinion, and like it or not, take it or leave it. You know,
so you were I would say that you were a little bit entitled in that sense.
Yes, entitled. Yeah, and I was an entitled boyfriend. So to me, I'm the kind of person where, look, you know, New Year's Eve, I'm going to be performing. So if you want, you can come, you can sit backstage, you can sit there and be there. You know, but you want to spend New Year's Eve together, we're going to do that. But when the clock comes down to midnight, I'm on stage and you are standing there alone. You know, and I realized that was not fair. You know, whereas with my current partner,
unfair, you know?
Yeah, but with my current partner, like she works in entertainment. So she has an understanding. And initially when she said like, oh, you're doing a show, I'd rather not come. You know, then I was like, oh wow, you don't want to come for my show?
Right.
Like, why? You know, do you not support my music? You know, and then she explained it. She's like, look, at the end of the day, if I'm hosting a TV show, I also don't want you there.
Yeah.
Because
you're not going to have a good time.
Correct. Yeah. You know, and look, you know, things like New Year's Eve, things like Christmas or like special occasions like that, You know, if you work in entertainment, you have an understanding is that you can still celebrate it, but it's just not on the exact day. And that's the truth. There are people who work on New Year's Eve. There are people who work on Christmas.
I mean, that's the
and
nature
they
of
and they just choose to celebrate it on another day.
Makes sense.
You know, and at the end of the day, when you have that understanding that work is important, but we don't have to try to mix work and personal to blend at the same time. We can always do it on separate days. You know, and that really got me thinking, like, because I always wanted my ex-partners to be around.
Yeah, for sure, right? I think that's normal.
It's like,
right?
you imagine you do a show midnight, countdown, New Year's, then you got to do a meet and greet after that.
Yeah.
And then by the time you actually come out, it's like 1:15. And to me, that 1 hour, 15 minutes flies by.
Yeah.
You know, but for the person who's waiting there,
Probably really miserable.
it's fucking miserable. And that's my regret, lah. And I feel apologetic about it. Will I apologize to them in person? Maybe not, because it's over, you know. But yeah, I think it's something that I've realized now as a 30-year-old.
Yes.
And you know, I urge people who are out there to think differently, lah.
Right.
Yeah.
Put themselves in the shoes of someone like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic. You know, I think that's great because like I mean, emotional maturity in that sense is something that doesn't come easily.
100%.
Let's drink to emotional maturity.
Emotional maturity.
Mm-hmm. Yo, this is the watermelon one. It kind of smells really nice, right?
Oh, it's so good.
Right?
Good.
So, one shot. Just casually putting it out there. Okay, so let's move on to the next part. Okay, this is the bridge.
The bridge.
Yeah. John founded Zendyll Records in 2015, right? And also nurtured a community of artists to build a culture of collaborations.
Yes.
Right? So do you ever feel the stress when you mentor people in Zendyll?
I feel the stress when I mentor someone at Zendyll and the person turns out to be a fuck up.
Oh shit.
But I would say
like fuck up in what sense?
Fuck up as in like everything. If I tell you to like A, B, C, D, E, and then you completely do the complete opposite. And then I'll be like, fuck lah, this motherfucker wastes my time. You know what I mean? Like, but I got to say, at Zendyll, so far, I've been lucky enough that everyone that I have mentored has gone on to do something great. You know, and has created sort of a name for themselves.
That's great.
I would say I have a 80% success rate. You know, so if you're looking,
that's Asian A+ to be fair.
Yeah, that's an Asian A+, exactly. And like for me, I'm very proud of people that I've mentored over the years, even though I still feel I'm very young, you know, but I think mentorship is very important. I had a lot of good mentors growing up. Even when I started, I had really good mentors and really bad mentors. But the really good mentors helped me see that the really bad mentors are bad. You know, and that really helps.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think it inspires the way that I function Zendyll.
Yes.
You know, we have a very good team, and we strive to do things better each time.
Right.
You know, we try to change the way that people view music.
Yeah.
We try to change the infrastructure of the whole music industry. Some people like it. Some people absolutely hate me. You know, and I deal with that. You know, I'm not afraid of people not liking me.
Yeah.
Because I believe that what I'm doing will help the future generation and the current generation. You know, and the people who dislike what I do is because I challenge the norm. You know, I dare to do things differently, but more efficiently.
Right.
You know, with more heart, with more vision, and with more consideration. You know, so yeah, you know, I think the struggle that I have with Zendyll is I have people who have been doing it way longer than me telling me that I'm fucking with the system. Right. But to me is that, look, you know, if you don't challenge the system, then the system will never improve.
Definitely.
You know, and if you're so afraid of your rice bowl, then it also goes to show that maybe you need to improve as well. I don't care that you've been doing this for 30 years. I don't care that you've been doing this for 40 years. But you know, you gotta improve. If not, we'll end up
if
like...
not, you're holding the system back.
Correct. And then you'll end up like an organization that we will not speak of, but, you know, who come out with shows that are embarrassing, lah, you know.
Fair.
To a certain extent that the viewers who they want to watch also thinks that it's embarrassing. And hence everybody goes to Netflix. You know what I mean? So you don't want a situation when an industry happens like that. You know, but it takes guts, it takes local companies to actually change that. You know, like, look, at the end of the day, today, Straits Times is still legit. But I get my news from Mothership. I get my news from TSL. You know, I get my news
Sharenews.com, right?
Yeah, I get my daily
updates,
like updates and cultural references from SGAG. You know, and these guys exist because they fill up a gap. You know, Straits Times, it's still legit. You know, but I mean, if I really want to know what happened about the guy who was outside Fullerton and then got tasered and then ran out, like, whoa, like, you know, like they gave a really good breakdown.
Yeah.
And then it's a conversation it's a really good conversation starter. You know, I feel like Mothership articles are very good conversation starters. You know.
To be fair, yeah.
Exactly. And that only existed because someone took guts to change the system, to challenge the system. You know, like Stomp was a thing, but now people don't say I storm you. People say I Mothership you.
To be fair, right?
You know that you're successful when someone uses your company name as a verb. You know.
To be fair, you know, Stomp walked so that sites like Mothership and online news could run. Right?
Yes, exactly. Mothership is the shit. Like guys, like you guys, I love Mothership. Man. It makes me so like I read it with a smile on my face. How many things can you say when you read a piece of news and you have a smile on your face?
You know, fair point. Yeah. Fair point.
And they don't have terrible English.
They do
to
not.
A large extent. Like, okay, fine. Certain things in terms of journalism can be done better.
Yeah, for
but at the end of the day, they don't market themselves as, oh, we are very journalistic integrity. You know, we are entertainment. We are entertainment news at the end of the day. And that's what we need in Singapore. Right. We need people to take things, you know, with being less serious. Like, we're too serious as a society, really.
I mean, true. Yeah, right, definitely.
Exactly.
Okay, fantastic. All right, next. Do you prefer? I mean, I think this is something that you answered earlier on, but we just ask it anyway since the question is less like, do you prefer to produce your own music or produce for someone else?
I prefer to produce for someone else, hands down.
Okay,
hands down.
Tell us more about that. You know,
I personally think as a soloist, I am not the best artist out there, simply because I like working in a team. You know, so the team sport thing has come back to bite me in the ass because I have to function as a team. Right. So I have never produced a single of my tracks just being me and me alone in my bedroom or in my own studio. You know, it's always a collective effort. Right. Maybe I'm insecure in a certain aspect where I need someone to tell me that it's good. But at the same time, I enjoy the company of people because I always believe that music is supposed to be shared. And there's reassurance in that. And there's reassurance in that. Like, music needs to be shared. Even if you listen to a sad song, if you are the only one that thinks it's sad, everyone thinks it's a fucked up song, right? Then maybe you need to
will just feel more sad, but in spite of the music.
Exactly. So I like producing for other artists because I always feel like the other person I'm able to put myself in that person's world. Right. You know, but at this point in time, even in my career, like, I've never figured out what my world is. Because I spent my entire first 10 years of my career figuring out what Sam Willows, you know, world was supposed to be. Like, what is this Sam Willows sound? What is Sam Willows brand? At this point in time, I haven't figured it out yet. Right. But it's a journey that I'm willing to take. And it's come to a point of time in my life where, like, I enjoy working at Zendyll so much, right? You know, and the energy that I get, the professionalism that I'm able to attain, in the workspace that I'm in. That do I really need to be just an artist? You know, I don't have to, because, like it or not, I feel like I've transcended to a level that I'm an artist entrepreneur now. Right. Because I have a business, like it or not, whatever it is. If you are an artist and you have a business, that makes you an artist entrepreneur. You know, if you have to pay people salary, if you got to consider everything from CPF to taxes and all that fucking grown up shit, you know, you are an artist entrepreneur. And you have to find that balance between the creative work and the business. The truth is, artists will always be jealous of people who can do business. And people who can do business will always be jealous of people who can be very creative. And when you are lucky enough to find a good middle ground, that's a place that I'm satisfied. I don't have to be the number one artist. I don't have to win artist awards. But to me, it's a case where I just want to be responsible for the place that brings artists together, that brings the artists and brings the business together. Right. Because that's what's gonna create the future. Yeah. Solid. All right, so let's go for another quick camera break because we got much more coming. And cheers to more watermelon soju, man. This is really good, the watermelon soju. It is. I like it. See you guys soon. Oh, fun fact, in Sweden,
Yes.
they don't call it a bridge, they call it middle eight.
Middle 8.
Middle eight, yeah. It's just a term that they use to describe a bridge. Like the bridge of the song, yeah, it's called a middle eight.
Like, how do you spell 8?
Like 8, the number 8.
Ah,
Yeah. I don't know, it doesn't make any sense.
Like what, 8 bars
It's that-
long
no,
or
it-
something? I don't know.
Yeah, so typically a bridge is supposed to be 8 bars long.
Ah.
So it's not so, choruses can go up to 16, but bridges are usually 8. So they call it the middle 8.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense because it's actually not in the middle, it's actually in the third quarter.
Ah,
But
okay,
I
but
don't-
to be fair, right now that we're back, right, and this section is the bridge, right? Lester left had like 4 questions here, so maybe he kind of sensed the 8.
Okay.
Like, dividing
Okay.
into, let's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
go with that, huh? He's musical genius. okay, let's move on with the questions that we have here. Okay, so John recently released a single, The Intro, right?
Yeah.
Talking about his past experiences with relationships that fade quickly after the honeymoon phase.
Yes.
A lot of millennials felt that. Okay. Is there a theme/topic that tends to do better in the music scene? And is it something you think about when writing?
I think when I write songs, like I don't really care what other people think. I think that's the problem. And at the same time, I'm very self-indulgent about it. I don't think there's anything wrong
That's
because
fine, right?
I want to talk about something that I feel. And I think with the intro, it was a song that really resonated with me because, like we go through chapters in life. You end primary school, you end secondary school, you start your first relationship, you end it, and so on and so forth. We live a lot of chapters in our life. The truth is, every person can write a book about their life. Everyone deserves to write a biography.
Yeah.
And your biography is good when your life is less mundane, obviously.
That's true.
But
Right.
still, everyone still can divide their lives into chapters. And at the end of every chapter, regardless of whatever time period, as far as your memory can take you, the day that the chapter ends, you always think back of the first day. When you end secondary school, Sec 4, graduate, O levels, N levels, you celebrate. But then you think back, it's like, remember the first day of school? You come in and, you're so curious, you're so, excited, but also scared at the same time.
Yes.
Everyone understands that feeling, and I think with the intro is kind of that moment where you reminisce that.
Yes.
So with regards to even a relationship, the day that you break up, everyone has gone through a breakup before.
For sure.
And like it or not, whether we want to admit it or not, the day of the breakup, there's always a part of you that always feels that, man, I wish this was like the first day. Like I cannot remember that feeling of that first
Where did
day.
that go, right?
Yeah, where did that go? How did that change? But the truth is, in life, we will always go through that.
Yes.
And that will happen continuously, which that's what makes us human. That's what makes us a person with feelings.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with reminiscing the first day on the day that it ends. And for me, like, I think particularly, I've been with a major label for a very long time.
Yes.
And I loved my time at the major label, but the intro was actually the last song that I was going to release with a major label. And then after that, now I'm signed to my own label, and, ending that chapter, like the intro just felt like the right song to end it. I'm still on very good terms with them, but it just felt like I am at a different point of my life, where I want to try this independent again.
Yeah.
I want to do it on my own again because
Yes.
I want to live by my own rules, and at the same time, like I want to focus on myself in that sense. So I think, that song felt it's always a bittersweet moment,
Right.
and I feel like it's something that people can relate to.
For sure.
And just thinking back to the first day.
And this kind of like sort of, you can call it self-indulgent, but this kind of thought, right? Do you think it's something that does well in as a professional producing music, having this kind of theme for your music?
So here's the funny thing.
Yeah.
Like when I was with Sam Willows, my obsession was to make sure that the song does well.
Right.
With my own personal music, I just want to do music that I like.
Right.
Like, do I need my songs to have the same kind of numbers as Sam Willows? No.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, I know that my solo material is not at the same level as Sam Willows. Because it takes Narelle, Sandra, Ben to make it that level.
Yes.
But why do I still release music? Because I like it. My main focus right now, like if you ask me what's my main job, right?
Yes.
Me as a solo artist, it's not even my main job.
Right.
My main job is actually building Zendyll. This is my
Yeah.
priority at this point in time because I believe in basically building an infrastructure
Yes.
that is going to change things. And that has become my priority. Otherwise, right now, like, I'll be like every day do a YouTube cover, Sam Smith just released new song. Okay, I got to cover this. I need people to know me about my music, but I don't need, to a certain extent, I don't feel like I need to prove anything to anybody anymore.
Right.
There's a reason why, like, I would call myself at this point in time more of a music executive than I am a music artist.
Yes.
Because the true artist will look at me and think that I'm not a true artist.
Right.
The music executive will look at me and think that I'm not the actual music executive.
Yeah, for sure.
And as much as that sounds like a position that you don't want to be in, it's exactly the position that I want to be in. Because I can speak both languages.
Yes.
I can speak to the artist and I can speak to the executive.
Yeah.
And I feel like that makes me unique in its own way, and I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I enjoy seeing other people successful.
Yeah.
I don't get that feeling of jealousy. I really, really don't.
That's great.
Like Estelle Fly being my artist, like everything that she does, I'm proud of her. And I want her to do better than I ever did. And I think when I was able to understand that was the point of time where I felt like this is going to be my 30s. Is to see other people get successful, and it's not always about me. Because you can't always make things about you. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, next question that we have. John
Can we
said
drink
that,
first?
Yeah, sure, man. Cheers to that.
Cheers.
Okay. This is a good question. I think you'll like this one. So John said that his pillar, just now, actually you mentioned earlier that your wife is a pillar of strength. Right? And taught you a lot about how to be human and how to connect with friends and family.
Well, you're really good, man, Alistair. Like, how do you even find? I don't remember saying that.
You have to watch out for this guy. That's what I'm saying,
Scary, man. He might be outside my door.
So the question comes, right? So what has changed about you since you met / got married to Amanda?
So, for those of you who don't know Amanda, she's from Malaysia. She's my wife. And we've been married for about 2.5 years, I think.
Right.
But I proposed to her 6 months after we were dating.
Oh.
And we started dating maybe a month after I met her.
Yes.
And just to get it out there, I met her on Instagram. Okay, I slid into her DMs. Okay, let's just get it out there. Laugh.
On as a silver lining, it works, man.
Yeah. And like, long story short, like, I felt like I was lucky enough to meet someone who can push me to be a better person. Not a better musician, not a better businessman, not a better artist, but a better person. And I think she is my pillar because she and I talk a lot.
About what?
About everything. Like after this interview, I'm going to go home and we're going to probably sit down in the balcony and be talking for an hour or two because I'll be telling her about my day and my experiences and she'll be telling me about her day and her experiences. And we communicate a lot because we both lead very interesting lives. She leads a very interesting life as well. She's a TV host. Yeah. She's an actress. Sorry. But she is very grounded in the way that she looks at things.
Right.
She always believes that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how successful you are. What matters is whether you're a good person and an objectively good person. And the truth is, all of us are human. We will always fall short. So trying to be a good person is always a continuous process. What is the definition of that? Like, it's for you to define on your own.
For sure.
You don't have to feel obliged to help people if you don't want to. But you help the people that you want to, and you do it to your fullest ability.
Yep.
So I feel like she's taught me a lot of things that I felt like I couldn't get. She taught me how to choose my friends.
Right.
How to choose my friends wisely. Friends who not just help me for my career, but friends who would be there for me when I need them to be there for me. Friends who I can be comfortable with just not having an objective.
Right.
So I became the guy over the last few years who, if I hang out with someone famous, right, I don't have to talk about it because what I want is to establish a real relationship.
Right.
And working in the entertainment industry, that lacks a lot. You know, like I can see a fake friendship when I see one.
Definitely, for
You
sure.
know, you call that bullshit out from the start.
yeah.
And the best part is the audience is starting to realize it as well. It's like y'all two say y'all are friends. Like, I don't believe that for a
Yeah.
moment. Y'all are just trying to
It's just
utilize
fake as heck,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's fake as fuck. And like, I mean, like, screw that lah. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I am close friends with a lot of people who are very famous.
Right.
But the truth is, I don't have to talk about it.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, because I develop a genuine friendship for them. I invite them to my house for Chinese New Year. We will do Christmas together. We will celebrate their birthdays together. And do we really need to put it on social media and make it a show? We don't.
No.
Because sometimes, at the end of the day, I hate to say it, like, famous people are still human.
Right,
And
for
the truth is, the problem with people who are famous is that less people treat them as human and more people treat them as a commodity.
Right, it's very true. Actually,
You know.
actually, to be fair, I think in this age of the internet, your fame actually dehumanizes you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%. And you realize that the people who are famous, they are the ones that need the most human connection.
For sure.
And for someone in my position, like, I'm not that famous. I know that. And do I really want to be that famous? The truth is, I don't.
Yeah.
I still want to be able to walk to Tiong Bahru Market in my shorts and slippers and singlet, buy some ji kueh, you know, sit there and eat the ji kueh in the morning.
Some
and
more
be-
ugly eat, huh?
Yeah, ugly eat, you know. I mean, like, and then like not everyone is there like taking a photo of me or asking
Right.
to come to me for a photo. Like,
For sure.
it's no longer, and now the tradition now the face is not, hey, can I take a photo with you? Is people will take an Insta story from you from afar.
Oh yeah, then they'll zoom in and be like, oh my god.
Yeah, and it's rude as fuck. Like, in my opinion, it's rude as fuck. Because I went through both phases. Like, I went through the phase like in the early 2010s where people, when they see someone that's famous, what they want is a photo with them. But then now, because of social media and how it's evolved, people want to take a video of them.
Yeah.
And I find it rude as fuck. Like, honestly, those of you who are watching, like, if you see someone famous and you respect that person's work and you like that person, please don't take a video of them. Take a video with them.
Like go up there and like, hey, can I get a picture
Yeah,
of you?
and have a conversation with them, you know,
Right.
and you'll be surprised how people will react to that.
For
you know,
sure.
and never disturb them while they're having a meal. I feel like that's disrespectful as fuck. Yeah, so I mean that's something that I would say lah, because you know, I feel like at the end of the day, people are still human lah.
Yeah.
You know, like it's now more dangerous to be famous than feeling good to be famous. Like even paparazzis
some
in the
deep
US,
shit, yeah.
even paparazzis in the US have boundaries. You know, they will wait outside the restaurant, but they won't go into the restaurant. They're not allowed into the restaurant.
Yeah.
You know, but then if you're a paying customer and you're there and you're acting like a paparazzi, then that's not fair lah.
That's unfair to the person because you
Exactly.
forget about the person, right?
Exactly. Like that person's still human.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, unless it's a famous robot lah, then okay lah, whatever, no feelings, that's fine lah. But I mean, everyone is still human at the end of the day.
For sure. Fantastic. Okay, let's move on to our second chorus, huh?
Yes.
Second chorus. John said that the TikTok generation awards mediocre people, right? Do you think this tendency, right? This tendency is here to stay? And how does an artist, right, navigate this going forward?
Wow. Okay. I don't ever remember posting that. I just remember telling that to my friends that TikTok rewards mediocrity. But I think it's taken out of context.
Okay, why don't you just tell us the full story?
So
then?
I feel that at the end of the day, you know, it was in comparison to Instagram.
Right.
As a social media platform, I feel that at one point of time, Instagram rewarded people who had a certain vision, right?
Okay.
Because, for example, if you're a really good photographer,
Right.
you know, you will have like 200,000 followers, 100,000,
Right.
10,000 followers, doesn't matter. But people follow you because you post really good photos.
Right.
You know, your editing skills. Like, I mean, personally, I'm a big fan of YK. He's a
It's
photographer.
fantastic, yeah.
You know, Iket, like, he deserves every follower
Yeah,
that
for
he
sure,
has
for sure.
because that guy is amazing.
Yeah.
You know, and he was rewarded on a platform like Instagram.
Yeah.
You know, whereas when it comes to TikTok, okay, one thing I get really pissed off about TikTok is that, okay, I love TikTok because I feel like it's going to breed a generation of people who can be more comfortable in their skin.
That's great,
Who,
right?
who can, like, you know, kind of like, you know,
Yeah.
like it will breed a generation of dancers.
Right.
And I
for
feel
sure.
like my age, dancing was never cool.
It was never
You know,
cool.
I used to make fun of male dancers in school. Like,
Same.
oh, you are a guy, oh, you in dance club. I thought back then the mentality was
Yeah.
different. You know, but whereas now everyone's like, you know, you know, like just dancing and all that shit. And I feel like the beauty of that is that people are more comfortable in their skin.
Oh, okay.
But there's a but. I feel like if you want to do the dance, do it well lah. You know, and I feel like especially with the younger generation, it's
Yes.
about if I'm going to do a dance, I want to make sure that I get as much likes and comments and shares as possible. So if my dancing is not good, what is my next alternative? I show more skin.
Shit.
You know, I pretend that I don't really want to show my cleavage, but I kind of do. You know, like I always think that the if you want to use sexuality, you know, as a form of likes, then I don't think that that's right lah.
For
because
sure.
imagine how your parent feels. Like if I had a daughter and she's showing skin just to get likes, I'd be like, hey, go and be a porn star lah, you know, or go and do something with your life that requires that. But at the end of the day, I also believe in female empowerment.
Yeah.
You know, I always believe that if a woman wants to dress a certain way that she does,
Yeah.
you know, if it empowers her, then
By
do
all
it.
means, right?
By all means, yeah. But I think with the TikTok generation, that message is very blurred.
It's kind of warped. Right?
It's very warped. So, and there's nobody guiding you to tell you how to do it. And then there's always this generational battle. You know, how Gen Zs make fun of millennials or make fun of boomers. Like, cut all that bullshit out, lah. Show some damn respect, lah. At the end of the day, like, you know, if my auntie talks to me, no matter how annoying I find it, I'm not going to say, okay, boomer. Like, I think that's fucked up. Like, that's really, really fucked up. Like, you know, you are basically trying to put a full stop to someone's statement when all that person wants to do is share their experience to you.
Right.
You know, and share their concern. And on your end, if you think that person doesn't understand, then accept it, but also listen.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to take the advice, but you got to hear it.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, because it's going to come to a point of time when nobody will want to take advice anymore. And
You
that's
know-
going to be a problem.
You know, this is something important that you brought up. I think that it has been lost to a lot of people. I don't even want to put it on a generational thing.
Yeah.
The ability to silently disagree,
Yes.
right?
Yes. 100%.
This is something that's truly lost in the generation of
Yep.
the internet. Yeah.
You know, and I mean, I think part and parcel of growing up is that as you grow up and you start to face the problems that the people that you thought were problematic, you know, that they just complain, you know, and then you start facing their problems and you start to understand.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, when you got to pay your phone bill on your own, when you got to start paying for a house, when you got to start paying for a car, you know, you start living through the generations, then you understand where the true problem lies.
Right.
And then you start to understand. So the advice that was given to you, let's say you're 14 years old and I'm 35 and I tell you like, hey, you got to start saving money, man. Like when you get $300, don't go and just go to Off-White and buy a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Like what is this? It's Off-White t-shirt is a terrible investment. But you're like, no, it makes me look so cool. I feel like G-Dragon, you know. Like, I mean, how long do you want to feel like G-Dragon? And then you realize that certain concepts from an older generation or someone has been through life more than you, it really works.
It just works at a different point in time.
Yeah, it works at a different point in time and it's values at the end of the day. Like, it's not about the message per se, but it's the values of the message. You know, pick out the value. And I feel like the people that will really thrive from our generation and the generation after us is those that are able to pick out those values and those that are able to kind of
Read between the
read
fucking
between
lines.
the fine print, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Read between the lines, you know,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
really take these values and go like, okay, yeah, I get what you're trying to say, you know, but this is it in my context, and I want to make the best of it.
Right. Yo, that's some advanced shit right there. You need to write a book, man. That's some pretty advanced shit, that's what I'm saying. Okay, next question that we have for you. So John studied sociology in NTU, right? NTU.
And to you.
And said that if you had not been a musician, right, he would probably have gotten into politics,
Yes.
right? What do you think Singapore needs to do better to improve the music scene in Singapore? I'm assuming this is
We're going there.
politician you speaking.
We're going there.
We are going there because we're coming to the end. So you know what?
Okay.
Let's just
Okay.
be anarchists for a bit.
Okay, how do I start this? Okay, it's going to be a bit long-winded, but I
That's
feel like I
fine.
need to give the whole context to it.
Yeah.
So, John, what is your opinion of the Singapore music scene?
Okay. Maybe I can't comment fully on the music scene.
No, but based on your experience as
Based on
someone
my
who
understanding.
just who not really, you don't really give a shit. I mean, the truth is
Right.
most Singaporeans don't give a shit about the
Yeah.
music scene,
Yeah,
because it's still a scene,
for sure.
But what is your opinion of it?
Okay, if I were to simply put it in one sentence, right? If we compare this to like soil, it'd be barren as fuck,
Yeah.
right? And I don't see, like, I don't understand why.
Yeah.
Because I do have a lot of talented musician friends.
Yeah.
And I did share earlier that
And they're not going anywhere.
They're not going anywhere. I try to do like music production for, and I've met some really fantastic performers. And like they were performers in like since like secondary school level. They could have excelled, right? They could have been our Singaporean Justin Bieber and stuff like that.
But why didn't it happen?
But it can't happen,
Yeah. Okay,
because
so
it's just barren as shit.
I actually have an answer for that.
Yeah.
And it's also partly back to your question about me studying sociology in NTU. So just to clarify for those of you who don't know, sociology is different from psychology.
Yeah.
Sociology is the study of society and is groups of people and communities that act a certain way and trying to reason out why a group of people act a certain way, right? So actually, the reason why Singapore's music, in my opinion, based on my studies, because I did this in school.
Yes.
I did proper qualitative and quantitative research.
Yeah, mine's just subjective as fuck.
So I'm not pulling this out of my ass. Like, I actually did an actual study on this, breaking down everything. And the simple conclusion to why Singapore's music scene is so crap now, in my opinion, crap not in terms of the quality of performers, but just as an infrastructure, is simply because of one word, and it's drugs. And I'm going to explain why. So back in the 70s,
that's wild.
Yeah, back in the 70s, it was a wild time. In the 60s in Singapore, it's a wild time.
It was.
Like, there were places where like drug use was very evident in Singapore. And
for sure.
in the 70s, the US president was President Richard Nixon.
Right.
And he declared the war on drugs in response to the hippie movement in the 60s.
Right.
If you think about it, I mean, I'm not sure if you watch enough MediaCorp to tell you that the golden era of Singapore music was in the 60s. Shirley and the Silver Strings, you had a whole bunch of 60s musicians.
60s and 70s, I would argue.
70s fading out lah.
Right.
Early 70s, yes.
Yeah.
In Singapore, at that point of time, it was pop-in. Because, well, I mean, you don't have social media, to ship an international record into Singapore, you have to ship it in.
Yeah.
So locals had to rely on local music,
For
at that point in time. In the 70s, there was the war on drugs. Right? And the way that we interpreted it was a case where, drugs is associated with rock and roll, which is also associated with guys with long hair. I'm not sure whether you know this, but back in the 70s, guys in Singapore were not allowed to keep long hair.
I was not aware of this, but
yeah, so there were signs, you can actually Google this, like there were signs where if you're a guy with long hair and let's say you queue up at the bank, right, you're forced to the back of the line.
Shit.
You are basically a second-class citizen.
Like social
pariah, if you're a guy with long hair. So naturally, everyone had to keep short hair. That's why when you watch these American high school shows, right, and then you see that high school kid, 15 years old, with a guy got long hair, like, wow, how come, in Singapore, we have to make sure that everything is prim and proper? It's partly because of that. I think it's a certain spillover effect from that.
Right.
So in the 70s, there was a huge crackdown on that. And they associated drug use with rock and roll. And for me, I mean, I'm not going to comment about drugs in Singapore, but, with respect to music, rock and roll was the in music at that point in time.
Right.
So parents would be, I mean, there were a lot of government advertisements, talking about it. So parents would naturally think that, you cannot do music, cannot go and be rock and roll.
Because
if you
drugs.
Because if you are a rock and roll musician, you will do drugs and then you'll be a degenerate in society.
Yeah.
Which I get the understanding of why it happened. The logical reasoning. And you have to think about it. The teenagers who grew up in the 70s who had experienced that firsthand, they are your parents of the 90s. So that led on to a generation of 90s and 2000s that became a bit more difficult. Of course, there are some people who try to do it, but then our entire society was not ready for music.
Right.
And then as a result, then you have all these international labels, Polygram Records, Universal Music, there's Warner Music, BMG, all these guys coming to Singapore to basically sell international records. Because why? If it's not our own people, if it's other people, it's okay. You know what I mean? The Eagles had long hair, but it's okay. So, fun fact, when Led Zeppelin tried to come into Singapore at that point in time, Robert Plant was actually rejected at the airport because he had long hair.
You know, I remember this thing.
He was told to cut his hair.
Yeah.
And Robert Plant basically gave the middle finger and turned back and said, like, fuck this, I'm not cutting my hair. Like, fuck you, who do you think you are? You know, that's actually a really funny story because he personally shared it when he came to Singapore in like 2011, 2012. He shared that story, you know.
Yeah.
And
But this time he's back with not long hair.
he's back with long hair. But now, no problem, lah, you know.
True.
People kind of forget about that long hair phase.
Yeah.
You know, our generation, we're not really too exposed to that. But that led a whole, in my opinion, 30 over years of an empty void of music. Which means that we have generations of Singapore musicians or Singaporeans who are growing up without any exposure of local music.
I see.
You know, and then there was a revival, I guess, I would say in the 80s at that point in time, Dick Lee, you know. And fun fact, I think Dick Lee is the first Singaporean to ever record a rap verse.
Oh.
So theoretically, he's the first rapper in Singapore.
Shit.
Before Sheikh Haikal, you know, before
Sheikh
anyone,
or anyone
yeah,
like that, right?
Dick Lee probably. I mean, I don't know this for a fact, but from my understanding and my experience, like he's the first one that ever dabbled into rap.
Yeah. So Dick Lee, you're probably watching this now, but leave us a comment. You know, tell us a bit more.
Yeah, and I think the craziest thing is that now, you know, everyone is trying to pick up their pieces because Singapore has always been about financial growth, economic growth, you know, banking, law, you know, like you know, like civil service and education, you know.
I mean, we're a pragmatic society.
That has always been the pillars of success.
Yeah.
But I think what we lack as a society is arts, culture, and entertainment. You know, like how do we breed a culture of people where the question right now, and I get thrown this question a lot, is what is Singapore culture? We always like to say food.
Yeah.
But the truth is, our food is borrowed culture. Our music will be borrowed culture as well. But if we can take so much pride in our food culture, why can't we also take pride in our music culture? You know, why do we feel like our local musicians or actors have to go to Hollywood first or have to get recognition in another country before we can start supporting? You know, I think we have to change that mentality. You know, like I feel like as a Singaporean, we need to be looking for Singapore music because these are the people who have grown up with us, who have the same experiences with us. And we need to buy their concert tickets, we need to pay for their records, we need to buy their merchandise, and we need to support them simply because they are Singaporean. You know, like look, if Singaporeans are not going to support Singapore musicians, then who the hell is going to support us?
That's very true.
Yeah, and you don't want to lose talent to another country. Imagine if a Singapore musician does well in the Philippines and he goes like, screw it, my country is not recognizing me, I'm going to go to the Philippines, I'm going to live there. And I mean, truth is, you
lose something valuable.
That's what's happening with a lot of the famous Singapore musicians. If they find a career in China and Taiwan, they live there. They don't bother coming back.
Yes.
You know, and then the question goes back to why would we want to lose our best talent to another country? And at the same time, what infrastructure can we build in Singapore to keep them? You know, so going back to your question on that, like, I mean, that's my explanation. Like, it does require a little bit of a short history lesson, but I feel like it attributes to what our mentality is today.
Yeah, for sure. Long-lasting impacts. Just nice. We got to take a short camera break. We'll be right back for more because I do have a personal question about local music.
Okay.
Because I do listen to quite a number of local bands. So we have moved on to our second last question.
All right.
Okay. Now this is quite an important one because it's a little bit more reflective and before we go into that, let's cheers to that first.
Cheers.
Right. This second last question, right? It's quite an important one because I think this is something that not just artists go through, but millennials like us, you know, we think about a lot. How would you like to be remembered?
Oh, wow.
It's a pretty good question.
How will I, like when I die?
I don't know. However you want to interpret this question. When you die, it could be one way, you know.
Wow, that's a very good question. I never actually thought of that question. How do I want to be remembered? Like, I kind of want to be remembered as the person who was groundbreaking. You know, like I remember in JC, like did, you know, like I don't know whether back then like you had to do this thing called PW, project work.
You know, we are just 1 year apart, so yes.
So PW, right? So I thought it was crap at that point in time. So I was grouped up with a bunch of girls, and then one of my classmates, the topic of my year was groundbreakers.
Right.
And then she picked Coco Chanel. And at that point of time, like I didn't give a shit about Coco Chanel.
Right.
Like, I mean, Chanel is a great brand, but
Yeah.
you know, at that point in time, 18 years old, like, I mean, I didn't care about it, you know.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, for sure.
It sounds so girly, you know, and stuff like that. I didn't care. And now, when I look back, you know, like, if that subject were to come up again, you know, I would want people to write about me. You know, I want to be a groundbreaker in the sense where I always believed that, you know, you can break ceilings. You know, I've always believed that if you do things right and you work hard, you know, you're able to break grounds. And naturally, society always tries to put this ceiling above you to tell you what you can do and what you cannot do. But a lot of it takes, you know, self-belief to do great things.
Right.
The truth is, and that's why I love music, because I always feel like music is an industry that, regardless of social class, regardless of even, you know, the environment that you're growing up with, there is an ability to thrive because music is always a community-driven event.
Right, for sure.
And I mean, take hip-hop, for example.
Yeah.
Hip-hop in 2020 is mainstream. But when hip-hop first started, the amount of challenges that they had to face, you know, as an industry, it was tough. You know, but they made it happen.
Yeah.
So going back to it, you know, like, look, if you want to be a lawyer, you know, you either have to be really, really good at retaining information and arguing, or you come from a good social class where it gives you the ability to go to law school, you know, because to be a lawyer, you have to go to law school.
For sure,
But
right?
to be a musician, you don't have to go to music school. You know, to be an architect, I mean, let's be honest, lah, you know, if someone's going to build my highway, he better have the skill set to do
You better
it.
understand what is building
Yeah, lah,
highway,
you know
right?
what I mean? You know, like if someone's going to do my city planning, this person better have a degree in civil engineering and,
for sure.
and stuff like that. But if you think about it, music, dance, theater, you know, the arts, you know, it's beautiful in its own right because technically you don't need to go to school for it.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, technically the artists that really make groundbreaking work is because they don't follow the rules. Because if you follow the rules, you're basically trying to repeat history. And at times it works, but more often than not, it doesn't. You know, a true artist is one person that is able to create something that no one has ever seen before, no one has ever experienced, and create a different experience for that. And then when people start to jump on that, they love it. You know, and whether it becomes more real or whether it becomes more abstract, you know, it's the artist defines that. And I always feel like the reason I do believe that musicians should be rewarded, you know, and the way that America did it was right because it gives an alternative career or alternative path for people who were not born in the most ideal circumstances, and they're able to take their pain, they're able to take their experiences and channel it into a piece of music that other people can vibe to.
Yeah.
You know, and it helps them climb that social class without actually having to fight the system because they create their own system, you know. And that being said, like, I always believe that Singapore, we need to do that, you know, because I've met musicians who, you know, born in Bukit Timah, you know, have the nicest equipment in the world.
Yeah.
And I've also met musicians who, you know, were not born in the most ideal circumstances. Parents are incarcerated, you know, go and live with a relative and then the relative gets incarcerated and then you're out in the streets, you know, but all you know is music, you know, but then there's also no trajectory to get you there. You know, to get you to a place that you can be comfortable and tell yourself that as an individual in society, I am making a difference.
Right.
You know, so I feel that it's my responsibility I'm fortunate enough to be able to work in this industry, you know, to create something and an infrastructure that people can thrive in. And that's my ultimate goal. You know, like, do I want to aim for fame? No. You know, that's really, to me, never been the priority.
Right.
You know, because I feel like there's a lot of things that I can do if I want to get famous. I go and have a scandal, you know, I go and say this, go and say that, you know, be vocal about shit, you know. But I don't, because it's not my character. And I don't know how to deal with it. Even till today, I don't know how to deal with it. When someone recognizes me on the street, like, I really don't know how to deal with it. You know, but I think at the end of the day, there's a reason why I do this. And I think, like, looking back, like, I want a 12-year-old me, you know, to have had someone to look up to. You know, people who are not as talented, you know, still be able to find success in an industry that is so cutthroat.
Right.
So yeah, I mean
Fantastic.
that's really the way I look at things.
That's great. One last question that I have for you.
Here we go.
You know, this one is from me because I got this earlier from you. You mentioned about how, you know, when you're like older and maybe like 40s or whatever, you're not gonna be like, it's not gonna be all Sam Willows and all that kind of thing,
Yeah.
right? That's fair. You know, but some personal acts, some musicians that I personally enjoy, you know, like Guns N' Roses, AC/DC, they do come back, you know, as a band. Do you think that's something that's possible for the Sam Willows, you know, after you have moved on with life?
Yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's not a decision that I can make on my own.
Right. But would
You
you
know.
would you like that?
Yeah, of course I love it. You know, I think, in fact, I have a feeling that all four of us love it. You know, I think Sam Willows, you know, I'm quite confident that it's not the last that you've heard of us.
Yes.
Because the truth is, even I know it, that I can feel there's something special between the four of us. You know, like the other, like Ben, Narelle, Sandra, they're like family to me.
Right.
You know, I still see them very often. In fact, you know, when we took a break, we actually learned how to be friends again.
That's
Which
fantastic.
is beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, like especially, I mean, I'm closest to Sandra right now, you know, because our dogs are from are siblings.
Right.
You know, so I see her more often. And at the same time, you know, we actually had to learn how to be friends again because, you know, when it was Sam Willows, it was all work.
For
You know,
sure.
when everything is all work, you know, it came like when we started, you know, we would do a show and then we'd go and eat together, have fun and stuff like that. It came to a point of time where the moment we could leave each other, we would be out the door,
Right.
you know, and now we're taking this time to actually learn to be friends again because we want, if we would ever come back to do a performance together, to maybe write a new album together, it needs to come from a place of genuine friendship and not just focus on work.
Right.
We want to find that authenticity again.
So you
you
can
know.
come back to perform as Sam Willows without being the Sam Willows, having the Sam Willows as the main focus.
Yeah, I guess so, you know, because at the end of the day, the Sam Willows, we are the kind of band that, look, it's going to be Ben, Narelle, Sandra, John, you know, we are the kind of band that we will not change members. You know, it's just the four of us and that's our identity.
Yeah.
You know, but if we need to take time off to find ourselves again, the truth is we know that if we have to come together to play Take Heart or Thirsty again, you know, people we know would come to watch our shows or listen to our music because we are mentally ready.
Right.
You know, because I'm not going to lie to you, like Sam Willows gave me a lot of anxiety. It gave me a lot of, it put me through a long period of depression.
Right.
You know, because like you said, you know, like it's a lot of pressure.
It definitely is.
And it's a pressure that we were dealt with, that there wasn't an infrastructure to support us. Which is why I feel so strongly about creating this infrastructure, because I feel like the next person that needs that, you know, I'm able to be there for them. You know, I mean, you imagine trying working 14 hours every single day with no day off for 6 months. You know, it does something to a person, you know, and I think, you know, at the same time, you know, you do a long press trip, you come back, you land, the first thing you go sound check, show. You know, like it does something to a person, you know, and nobody is there to tell you and ask you, are you okay?
Right.
You know, everyone is there to say, okay, tomorrow we got to do this,
Call time, that's all right.
Yeah, call time, da 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 da. You're treated like a machine.
Yeah.
You know, and it came to a point of time where I think the four of us unanimously decided that let's just focus on solo careers.
Yeah.
Because for 7 years, it's a long time, 7 years, it was always shared experience.
Yeah.
You know, and I think to a certain extent, we kind of forgot how to be friends.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what started the band in the first place.
Yes.
And I think personally, for me especially, like, we're learning again how to be friends. You know, and if we were to hang out, it's not because we want to work, but because we actually want to see each other.
Yeah.
You know, I still love them to bits, you know, and
Do you all still come together to do music?
so that's the thing.
Yeah.
We come together to hang out.
Yeah.
I mean, I can honestly say till today we haven't come together to do music again.
Right.
But-
not even in a random
Not
jam
even in
kind
a
of-
random jam. And I think there's a reason for that. I think for me personally, it's a case where when it's the right time, we will know it. Because right now, I mean, all four of us have released solo records.
Yes.
And you can tell, look, Ben's solo records, Narelle's solo records, Sandra's solo records, my solo records are all different.
Yeah.
But we learn in this experience, and then when we come together again, it's going to be a brand new product. It's going to be something that we're not here to force a new product onto people, but we want to create a sense of nostalgia, and we want to push a boundary.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Sam Willows, I'm pretty sure this is not the last performance. I mean, like, there will be another performance. I'm
for sure.
quite confident of that. For whatever reason, we decide to come back together. And I have a feeling, we're 10 years is coming up. It makes sense for us to do a 10-year anniversary concert.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's something that people would be interested in because they want to know what Sam Willows would be like in 2022. And if we call that our last show, or if it's something that's the beginning to a new chapter, I don't know at this point in time.
Yeah.
And the truth is, like, Sam Willows, I think one thing good about the last 1.5 years of taking a break from Sam Willows, that the four of us have learned that Sam Willows is no longer our own identity. It's not an identity that people look at me. You know how annoying it is when we walk in the mall and someone walking by and they recognize us. Like, hey, Sam Willow, that one's Sam Willow. To
be fair, I understand this.
It's fucking annoying.
Because I do get that sometimes. Maybe not as much as you, but I do get that sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think now that a different identity has been carved, we are in a position to come back stronger. And the truth is, I love the music.
Yes.
I love Sam Willow's music.
Yeah.
To a large extent, and I think probably moving forward, it's something that would be different.
Yes.
But would be something that everyone can enjoy. I think that's, to me, the priority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is also a testament to the evolution of you all as artists, right?
Yeah, exactly. As human beings, not even artists, just as human beings. Learning to develop real relationships. Because honestly, it felt at one point of time like we were just worth a photo. That's all we were worth to people. All they want is a photo. They don't really care about us. They don't really give a shit. All they want is to take a photo so they can flex with their friends. So I think it took some time to be able to reevaluate that. And I think moving forward, it's something that I want to look forward to.
Fantastic.
But my priority now is Zendyll and the work that we can do.
Yeah, for sure. Fantastic. That's great.
Yeah.
Before we end off, do you have anything you want to say to our audience,
I mean, honestly, this is one of the most interesting interviews I've done. I'm really enjoying it. John, Alistair, the setting is great. I'm relaxed, I'm calm. I think whoever is watching this, just remember that supporting local is important. If you're a Singaporean and you're watching this, supporting Singaporeans is something that you cannot think that you're too good to do. Because one day, if you're in that position, you would want people to support you. So in order to receive love, you got to give love. So yeah, I hope that you guys like this, share this with your friends. It doesn't cost you money to share this. So please share this, subscribe, and follow, give them a follow on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, just do what you got to do. And yeah, I believe in karma, and karma would pay off well.
Okay, guys. He said all I had to say for my outro, so let's cheers to that.
Cheers.
Solid stuff. Thank you so much, John, for joining us.
Of course.
You're out. That's illegal on this show. Have more watermelon soju.
Thank you.
Solid. I think this has been great. Yeah, this show, we always are excited to meet people like you, John. So thank you so much for joining us today. And to our audience, like what he mentioned earlier, but I'm just going to plug it in right again. So follow us on Instagram. We have IMO, which is our other segment. We'll be taking a break real soon, because Season 2 will be coming right up, so there's more exciting stuff to come, including the fact that there's going to be a live stream, so you'll actually get to see our pre-show discussions, which are actually kind of dope.
Yeah, it is.
To be fair, he was part of it. So more to come. Continue to follow us on all our socials. If you want to see more people like John, you can leave in the comments who you want to see next, and we'll try to get our best to get back to y'all. But until next time, bye.
See you guys.